How many times have you said, that didn't feel right, but you did it anyway? And then later, you had to deal with the consequences. That's the moment where intuition was speaking, but logic talked you out of it. So today we're changing that because this is where intuition becomes real power when you actually use it in your day-to-day decision making. Welcome back to High Vibe Energy Collective. And if you're new here, I'm Lori. And in the last few decades, I've been on an extremely personal journey. From a career in finance and real estate to accepting my priestess lineage and sharing intuitive lessons that I have been receiving throughout my whole life. Today in this video, this is where we bring intuition and knowing into your everyday life. Money, relationships, major decisions, because intuition isn't something you just feel, it's something that you actually use to help guide you. Let's be honest, most people don't struggle with having intuition. Most people struggle with trusting it in the moment. Why? Because logic seems safer. You want proof, validation, guarantees. And intuition doesn't always give you that, but it gives you a feeling before the evidence. And that's uncomfortable. So instead of trusting it, you override it. So now let's talk about money, because this is where most people ignore intuition the most. You might feel like, this investment just doesn't feel right, or this opportunity feels forced, or positively, you might feel that it's aligned, even if it doesn't quite make sense yet. But then the mind jumps in, FOMO. What if I miss out on a great opportunity? Or fear. What if this is the wrong move? So you either hesitate or you make a decision from fear. Here's the shift. Intuition doesn't operate from lack. Fear does. I've had moments where something looks like a great opportunity financially, but it felt off. And every time I ignored that feeling, it cost me more in the long run. Time, energy, and money. On the other hand, there are times when I said yes to something, even though it fully didn't make sense, but it felt expansive. And those were the decisions that created the greatest growth. It seemed like, in retrospect, with every bad deal or partnership, there was a moment that my intuition was saying, stop. And my logical mind overrode it. Either I felt the deal has gone so far, we might as well just go through with it. Or I ignored the signs and warnings at the beginning of the transaction because the opportunity looked so good or too good to fail. So we went ahead with it, and lo and behold, something went wrong. Now let's talk about intuition in relationships. This one hits deep because intuition will always tell you the truth about people. The question is, do you listen? You'll feel immediately comfortable or an immediate tension when you meet someone. You'll feel alignment or that something is off. You'll feel peace or you'll feel like confusion. And here's the key. Confusion is not usually intuition. Intuition is clear, even if it's quiet. Let me give you a real-life example. Have you ever met someone and thought, I don't know why something just feels off? But you ignore it, you rationalize it, you give it time, and later you realize your first feeling was right. That's intuition, not overjudging, not overthinking, just knowing. Now let's move into intuition for life decisions. Big decisions, career moves, relocations, new directions. This is where people get stuck into overthinking loops. So here's a simple framework that you can actually use. Ask the question, what feels aligned? not what makes the most sense, what feels the most aligned. Next, notice in your body. Expansion, yes. Contraction, no. Your body will tell you before your mind understands. Next, remove the urgency. Intuition is not rushed. If it feels urgent or pressured, it's usually fear. Next, make a decision and commit. Once you choose, start taking action. Trust builds through action. So let me tell you a story about me in my real life. I got an intuitive hit that I should quit my job. Yes, quit my job. Now, that is a big commitment. At the time, I was single with 2 kids and a house payment. And I get this intuitive hit to quit my job. Mind you, I had a great job. I was making 6 figures. I lived very close to home. And I really liked the environment. I loved what I was doing. But I got the intuitive hit to quit my job. So, knowing my intuition and having trusted it for many, many years, I started taking action on this and wondered how could I do it. I looked into my budget, I looked into what I really needed, and I decided to quit my job. Once I actually quit my job, I thought, okay, what am I supposed to do? I had recently completed my herbal certification and clinical practice. A girlfriend of mine said, hey, I'm doing a health fair. Why don't you come with me and we can share a booth and you can expand your clinical practice? So I thought, well, I guess so. I'm not working, right? I might as well go. And it was at this health fair that I met my husband, and it changed my life. Now, if I had still been working at that job, I would have never done this health fair and I would have never met him because we're very different and we probably would have never met in other circumstances. So it was the biggest blessing of my life to quit that job. And if it wasn't for that intuitive feeling and guidance and trusting my intuition over all those years, that I would have been able to make such a big commitment to such a big decision. And a few years later, after we were happily married, I was able to resume my career in a better position and with a better organization than I was with prior. In addition, the company that I was working for actually got sold, and a lot of the employees either were let go or abandoned their jobs anyway. So it was a complete affirmation for me to continue to follow my intuitive guidance. Now, I'm not making the suggestion that you quit your job. I'm making a disclaimer. This is not financial advice. This is not personal or relationship advice. This is just me telling you a story about what really happened in my life and how trusting my intuition has led me to an expanded, happier life. So let's talk about making this real. Imagine you're deciding whether to take a new job. On paper, it's perfect, but something feels heavy, wrong, or unaligned. Your mind says it's a great opportunity. Your intuition says, this isn't your path. Most people would follow the logic of the mind, but the intuitive path, it leads you to something that fits you, not only the situation. So here's what I want you to remember. Your intuition is practical. It's not only spiritual, it's strategic. It helps you to avoid misalignment, recognize opportunities, make decisions faster, and move through life with clarity. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets. And also, the more you use it, the more you recognize the voice of your intuition versus the voice of fear or of your ego or of your mind. Once you recognize and understand the voice of your intuition, you'll be able to follow it and trust it, just like I did with my intuitive hit about quitting my job. So the next time you feel that inner knowing, trust it, act on it, and watch how your life starts to shift. If this resonated with you, comment below. I trust myself to decide. I trust my intuition. And if you want more content like this, where we bring your intuition into real life, make sure you subscribe. See you in the next video.